our core value, the first one is we will honor God in all that we do. And then we'll do the
Amen.
right thing when nobody's looking, and we go through the quality and supporting our retail partners. But, we've got 235 lives that depend on what we're doing here, and families, and making sure that they, can see what doing business the right way is. And hopefully the way I love my wife and love my kids and serve each other. And so it's a tremendous responsibility. I mean, there's a reason why there's not a lot of footwear manufacturing left in the U.S. You've got to do things the right way.
So my opener is, because this is Wednesday Western, I just like to ask people what their favorite Western is.
Well, I love it. I don't watch much movies or TVs, but I've seen Tombstone probably 70, 80 times. It was always my go-to in college. And yeah, the old Doc Holliday's one of the best ones at it. So yeah, Tombstone, far and away my favorite.
What a great portrayal of Doc Holliday too, because there have been a ton of them. We got a ton of White Earths, we got a ton of Doc Hollidays, and that one is a really special one.
Yeah, God bless Val Kilmer. He did a great job at it.
Amen, brother. Okay, so what does the title Rio of Mercedes mean, and how did that get started?
Yeah, so the Rios family has been making boots since 1853. They started down in Altadan, Mexico, and came up to the border area of South Texas around the turn of the century. That was kind of when the border was getting secured. We had the U.S. military down here setting up Fort Brown and Fort Ringgold and Brownsville and Rio Grande City, and policing to try to protect and try to create some opportunities for farming families to come down to South Texas and take advantage of what we call the Magic Valley, which is a fertile valley area along the Rio Grande River here. And so, yeah, Zeferino Rios and his family moved up here to follow the money. And Zeferino settled in the town of Mercedes, which is the town where we still are. And his brother went up to Raymondville, Avram. So Avram was Rios of Raymondville. He really focused on making boots for the Caninos, the ranch, King Ranch, and the ranching families up in the cattle areas of Texas. And then the Zeferino's family really focused on a lot of the more dressier, fancier boots for all of the Midwestern folks that were moving down here to raise cotton and farm and vegetables and stuff. So that's the Rios of Mercedes. So yeah, a lot of people think it's Rio Grande River, but it's Rios of Mercedes.
Rios.
Yeah.
Very cool. What
Yeah.
what a classy name right there.
Yeah, anytime I'm checking into a hotel and I tell them my email address, they always think I'm like a Mercedes-Benz dealer or something. I'm usually wearing a cowboy hat. I worked out this morning and was hot and sweaty, and so I put a golf shirt and a cap on. I forgot we were doing the podcast, but yeah, I'm dressed down today. But usually I'm like, yeah, not a Mercedes dealer. A cowboy hat and cowboy boots and a big old buckle. But yeah, they never really quite figure out the city thing. But yeah.
Nice. So are you from South Texas?
Yeah, from the Valley. My family's 4 generations down here. We were one of the families that came down here to farm. My
Wow.
great-grandfather was a cotton farmer, and they were up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, further north than that, moved down. And my grandfather ended up buying into a chain of auto parts stores called Burton Auto Supply, which was a store that started in 1919 down here. And my brother's still running it. My dad and uncles took it over, and then yeah, my brother runs it. So mainly Brownsville, moved to Westaco area. We're kind of a bunch of cities all along the Rio Grande River down here. So yeah, raising, they got 3 girls that are, I guess, going to be 5th generation Rio Grande Valley. So yeah, long time
Wow,
now.
that's fantastic. Did you grow up on a ranch?
No. Like I said, my family was in the auto parts business, so we,
Gotcha.
didn't really do a lot of ranchy stuff. We were more neighborhood kids. Played baseball. We had a big old half pipe ramp in our backyard. We skateboarded and played football and soccer and everything, basketball. And my brother started chasing a gal in high school that was a barrel racer, and he got into showing cattle. He was 4 years older than me and doing the show cattle thing. And so after I got out of junior high and moved into high school, I followed right in his footsteps and started doing the FFA show cattle deal and did FFA leadership and district. And he chased his girlfriend up to Sam Houston State in Huntsville. and she was a barrel racer up there. And we ended up both going through the ag program, ag business, and yeah, it was a great path to take. And of course, I wore cowboy boots all doing that, and so I knew my now wife since pre-K, so I grew up
Wow.
with her, and her dad was in the boot business. Obviously, they've been doing it for 50 something years, and so always was kind of around it and knew what they did. And we dated in high school and stuff, so was very familiar with the industry. And thanks be to God, God put me in the Western industry for good. Not where I expected I was going to be, but boy, it's sure is a perfect place for me.
Amen. Yeah, that's the beauty of where God takes us, man. Um,
Yeah, it's following His will brings peace, and exactly where thankfully I landed was exactly where I needed to be. And boy, that's what people always say. What do I love most about my job? And it's this industry that I get work in. I mean, mom and pop retailers all over the country, and for the most part, they're second, third generation. They're in small community, rural community areas that are super, conservative Christian background. There's morals, values. They stand up. I mean, you can't have a successful small business in a small community if you're not doing things the right way, because you're going to see those same people that you're selling to at church and at school and in the restaurants, and you've got to be doing things the right way. And thankfully, that's what a lot of our retailers build their business around.
yes, I mean, small business really is the backbone of our country.
Amen.
So do you remember the first time you put on a pair of Anderson Bean boots?
Well, I actually have my first pair that my father-in-law gave me up here. They were actually Rios and Mercedes, and they didn't fit me very well because I didn't know what size I was wearing. So yeah, he got me a pair in college. I worked at a sale barn in Huntsville, a cattle sale barn all through college, and I was wearing Red Wings and who knows what other boots. And he finally gave me a pair of boots, and yeah, I felt pretty cool because I knew how expensive they were. I'd never worn boots that fancy, but they were some old rejects out of the outlet store. I still got them up on my trophy wall over here. And yeah, they're
Nice.
pretty special feeling. I never had something that fancy on my feet before.
You could just tell once you put your foot inside. You could tell.
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's in fact, we make boots down in Mexico as well, some price point boots, and we've gotten so far behind on production. I'll wear some of the boots that we make down there. They're good boots for the money, and if you're not riding and using them as a tool, they're good boots. But boy, when I put my Rios on or my Anderson Beans, there's just something different about that feeling of just all leather, really conforming molding to your foot, and just that high level caliber of leather that fits differently. And that's yeah, there's something special about that.
So where does the name Anderson Bean come from?
Yeah, so in the mid '80s, my father-in-law, Trainer Evans is his name, and his partner Pat Moody, they decided that they needed to build a boot that was a little bit more price point oriented, but still domestically made. So they took the model of Rios Mercedes and just shortened up a few steps in the labor process and tried to streamline some of the options and kind of making it a little bit more of a production type boot. And so they started this brand called Anderson Bean. And my father-in-law felt like he's a fifth generation West Texas feedlot cowboys, and he said that the old ranch women, the women that ran the ranch, never got the praise and the credit they deserved. That the ranching guys always used to go out and have the biggest dogs and kill the biggest deers and do all the big cowboy stories, and the women were the home raising them. And so he named it for his great grandmother and his grandmother and his mother, Helen Anderson and Macy Bean. And he just thought those women needed a little bit more credit, and so named the boot company after them.
That's cool. I like
Yeah,
that. I like that aspect.
yeah,
Um,
that's it was a pretty smart deal.
so what? It also has like a nice ring to it, as and the logo. I love your guys' logo, man. It's like a branding, you know.
Exactly. That was what it was supposed to, and it's actually supposed to look like a pair of boots too. If you look at it, the way the A and the B come together, but I don't know, some
That's
marketing company in
clever.
the '80s came up with it, and thankfully it stuck. But yeah, it's a pretty good logo.
So I know this is a huge question, but what makes Anderson Bean boots unique?
Yeah, I kind of just spoke on it a little bit, but a lot of it starts with where we start, and that's really good relationships with our suppliers, and that we try to treat our suppliers the way we want to be treated from our retailers, and that's being really loyal and paying well, or giving them plenty of time to procure the materials and to do things the right way, and just really build up relationships so that the products that we start with, I mean, leather is a huge part of the cowboy boot. And so if you don't have good leather and good high quality materials, that boot's not going to hold up. And so really building those relationships with the suppliers so that they know what our customers are putting the boots through to make sure that we have high quality materials going into it. And that was one of the things that we started off with. We can build a cowboy boot in the United States, but it can be made pretty much completely with materials coming from other parts of the world, especially coming out of Mexico. And we decided that if we're going to build a boot in the U.S., we need to use U.S. suppliers. Just the way we want people to appreciate a U.S.-made boot, we want to support the supply chain. And it's going through the 80s and 90s, a lot of manufacturing moved out of the country, and it left a lot of our suppliers high and dry. And so we want to be really loyal to them. And thankfully, they're they service us really well. But so it starts off with the materials that we select. But then it's just a lot of it is the construction, doing things the right way with a leather insole, a leather heel counter. And people go, well, what does that mean? It means that boot molds to your foot. The more you wear it, the more it molds. Anytime you get leather wet, the pores open up and it just shapes around your foot. And then just using high quality lining leather that rubs against your leg. And we use a latex water-based glue on a lot of the processes that make it breathe a lot better since it's water-based. A lot of other companies use a rubber cement that's cheaper and quicker. It creates a vapor barrier, so the boots get hotter. It's kind of in Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Summertime, people go, oh my gosh, I'm going to wear sandals. I'm going to the beach. It's so hot. Our customers kick it into full gear. I mean, that's when all of our team roping start up, all the high school finals rodeos. And in fact, we got the IFYR going on in Shawnee in a couple of weeks. Anyway, we got a lot of those big summer activities going, and people are wearing cowboy boots, so we want them to be comfortable. And then the recraftability of our boots really make that value. People always want sustainability. I mean, there's nothing better than a boot that you can take to a local cobbler. He can pull the sole off of them and knows how to rework them because they've got the guts in them. And so if you take decent care of a pair of boots of the leather, you can resole them 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And I mean, that boot, you may spend $350, $400 on a boot, but $150 every time you get like a pretty much brand new boot. So anyway, that, the longevity and that way that boot molds and forms to your foot is just that comfort level it's hard to beat.
So, have you seen Ride the High Country, the Western?
No.
I'll share there's a little clip in there. It's Randolph Scott and Joel McCrea, and there's a clip in the movie that I'll send to you where they're sitting at a stream and they got their boots off, and Joel McCrea is showing Randolph Scott his boots, and they got a hole in the bottom. And it's a funny scene, and he's just describing, it took me so much pressure to get that boot maker to put the hole in the bottom, but I just needed those boots to breathe, man. So what kind of beating because this is, I guess, a two-part question. You often describe your boots as being useful, like they're a tool. So what kind of beating can they take, and what does that mean for them to be a tool?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of our core customer base is competitive horse show world. And so cutting horse, reining cow horse, these are trainers. It'd be like if you were going to put Michael Jordan in a pair of cowboy boots. I mean, these guys are the top of their industry. And people pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars to train their horses. It's kind of like when you go to Kentucky Derby, you watch it on TV. The trainers are the top notch. Well, they're just training other rich people's horses for the most part, right? But those guys and all of their staff are horseback every day, training 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 horses. And so they ride, they get them off, they wash those horses down. They're in the stalls, they're in the pens, they're in the manure, they're in the urine, they're back up horseback, and especially the cutting horse guys, because those guys, they just ride and ride and ride and ride. And we always say it's best to kind of rotate your boots, let the leather dry. These guys don't rotate their It's day in, day out. They're wet, they're dry, they're wet, they're dry. They've got spurs on them. And so if we can build a boot that can hold up to that kind of wear and tear of a guy who uses that boot, I mean, they're using that as because they've got to compete in them. They've got to train those horses. Whenever it is the competition is on, they've got to go. And so that's when we say that's a tool to let that guy be successful. But then you get the real, West Texas, feedlot cowboys and these guys up in Montana and Dakota that are riding horseback. I mean, you get a heel fall off your boot and you're in the middle of mountain country. There's no way to fixing that. And so that's a tool that you've got to use, and you're riding up and down mountains and hills and in and out of streams and stuff. And so it's a livelihood for a lot of our customers that need those boots to actually survive and work in. So I guess that's kind of the framework is if we can build a boot strong enough for those guys, then it'll last good enough for any normal guys like me and you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because boots are so important, even, it's what you wear to a wedding. They're what you wear to a funeral. They're what you wear in any really important, or even to the grocery store. So that's really cool that they can withstand that level of pressure.
Yeah, no, and I think that's one of the things that brings you credit whenever those guys are wearing the boots. Then the rest of the guys go, man, if that guy's wearing them, then it's the same way. Michael Jordan and the Nikes. I mean, that falls all the way down to the kids in sixth grade that are in the junior high team. They want a pair of those things too because the best guy's wearing them, and that kind of works the same way with our world. And the other thing is Oklahoma City, Fort Worth, Amarillo. There's a horse show event going on in those towns just about every weekend. And these guys come from all over the country. And if you've got enough money to be in this industry and you're flying in and bringing horse trailers and things, you're probably a pretty big wig in your community. And so whatever you take and see, hats and saddles and tack and boots from Fort Worth, Oklahoma, Amarillo, and you go back to your community, everybody's watching you and seeing what you're wearing, seeing what you're coming back with, seeing what kind of saddle you've got. And so you create all these little disciples all over the country from these guys that are the big wig in their community with the coolest, newest things, and hopefully the best quality as well.
So this is interesting because when I kind of put out, we have in our Slack channel at work, we have the general section where you can ask questions to every single person in the whole company. So I don't know how many it is. I think it's like 300 or 400 people. And I said, hey, I need to know what the best American boots are. And without any competition, you guys came at the top. And from the people whose opinion it weighs a little bit more, you know what I mean? Like, so that was pretty cool to see. That's when it was, and not only that, it was like, you got to talk to Ryan. Ryan is a good dude. He not only is he crafting these really amazing boots that everybody needs to have, every American should wear. He's in line with this mission. So I figured I'd tell you that much.
Well, that's always music to our ears. It's nice when people can appreciate it too, but that's obviously not what we're in it for. And you bring up the bigger mission, and that's we always say we're not saving lives here, but we're trying to create opportunities, and that was actually felt at one point that I might be called to full-time ministry work, and went and did a come and see weekend, and anyway, figured out that the Lord said, there's other ways that you can serve me, and plugging back into our community here and community service, and then leading this company and trying to create opportunities. I want a better way of life for everybody involved, and our core value, the first one is we will honor God in all that we do. And then we'll do the right thing when nobody's looking, and we go through the quality and supporting our retail partners. But, we've got 235 lives that depend on what we're doing here, and families, and making sure that they, can see what doing business the right way is, and hopefully the way I love my wife and love my kids and serve each other. And so it's a tremendous responsibility. I mean, there's a reason why there's not a lot of footwear manufacturing left in the U.S. You've got to do things the right way. And thankfully, we've got people that respect it. I mean, we just had our human resource department put together a little list the other day. We've got 62 employees that have been with us for 10 years or more. And then you get up into the 40, and we've got 3 guys that have been with us 50 years or more. You get in, I think, 12 in the 40 range. And that doesn't happen overnight. And my father-in-law and Mr. Pat, created an incredible foundation in this industry, and so it's a heavy load to carry, but it's well worth it. And it's like I said at the beginning, when you follow God's will and go where He plants you, and it's fun to grow there.
Amen, brother. So you're in your office right now, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where are you at in the factory? What are we hearing right now?
Well, you want to see?
Whoa,
There's the boot factory, yeah.
that's cool, man.
So yeah, you probably hear a little bit of the machinery. I've got some of the soul stitchers right down below me, so maybe that's what you hear in that pop 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 pop. Yeah.
So, Anderson Bean boots also happen to look really good. What goes into that aspect of it?
I mentioned it earlier, but I didn't. We don't do any direct to consumer sales, so we drew a line in the sand that we are only going to support our retail partners that built this that built this brand up, and so our retailers. So we got a team of sales reps. We've got about 10 sales reps that travel the country. In fact, we've got Dallas Market going on right now at the World Trade Center in Dallas. And so retailers come and visit, and they see samples, they see swatches, and they design boots for their store. And so what that gives our retailers is they are the design team. Leather suppliers will come down, and guys that don't know us will go, well, where's your design team? And I'm like, you're looking at, I like picking out leathers, and my wife does a lot of stuff, but our retailers design them. So say you got Michael Kahn that has Dollar Western Wear in Lubbock, Texas. Sales rep Doc Watson will go out there and show him some different samples, and Michael's gone like, I got a fresh batch of Red Raider kids, freshmen coming in. He goes, I want a good black smooth ostrich. I need a good price point for those kids. Black smooth ostrich, but I want a red kid skin top, and I want white and black stitching with white side seam and trim, and those kids are going to be dancing, so put a leather sole and a walking heel. Well, he'll design it exactly for that customer and that price point. Well, when those freshman kids roll in and they go, oh, wow, I'll check out those boots, and they go in the store and they go, well, let me go see if I can find them cheaper online. Guess what? He designed those things exactly for his store. So he gets to make a nice margin on it, which is what a retailer needs, is to be able to keep his doors open. And that kid gets something that's unique and different. And so that really drives the Anderson Bean creativity, is always having something unique and different. And again, going back to our relationship with our suppliers know we pay good. They know we hit the market fast. We don't have to go through all this research and development and testing and things. I mean, I'll see a new skin. In fact, we had our suppliers from South Africa, our ostrich suppliers, here a few weeks ago, and they brought in a cool olive green ostrich leather. Well, guess what? I'm showing that to retailers the next week. We're getting orders on it, and we hit the market and start seeing what different colors and different finishes are. And so it kind of, we're not, I don't want to say we're industry leaders because we're so smart or talented. It's just because we move fast and we listen. And that was, listen to what our retailers are asking for. And, we're not smart enough to figure out what's going to be hot in fall of 2027, the way all these, fashion brands dictate kind of what's coming and what's new. But yeah, unique hides and skins are our name. I mean, we do carpincho, we do stingray, we do kangaroo, we do elephant, hippo. We do beaver tail. We do, giraffe, zebra. A lot of exotics.
I saw shark.
Yeah, shark. Yeah, and that's all highly regulated as well. People know how to, get all these skins. In fact, there's an organization called the Conference of International Trade of Endangered Species, and everything's tagged, everything's monitored. It's just the same way. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to Central Texas or so, but everybody's got a brush guard pretty much on your truck or car because there's deer everywhere, and the population's just crazy because all these neighborhoods. Well, you've got to cull. You've got to maintain the population at healthy levels. Well, the same thing goes with a lot of the animals in South Africa and Zimbabwe and things, and so that's where a lot of that elephant and hippo and giraffe type production comes from. But anyway, didn't mean to go down that road, but I listed off. My kids always used to think it was funny when we'd go to the zoo because I'd be like, they're like, hey, what? I'm like, oh yeah, I just made a pair of boots out of that. And yeah, and I'm like, what?
That's fun.
Not everybody always appreciates that.
Why are this might be a dumb question. but why are ostrich boots kind of spiky?
That's where that's where the feathers were. And so, yeah, just
Ah,
like you've got pores in your skin, when you pull those feathers out, that's where the quills were. Yeah, and so you get the bumps on there. Yeah, and actually,
what make? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no. I just was gonna say ostrich is super recognizable because of that, but it's also so you see so much of it because it's people always ask me what's the best hide, and it's far and away ostrich. Just has a lot of natural oils to it. It's very conforming. People always say, "Does when they put boots on, are they going to stretch?" Well, we try to take all the stretch out of them, but certain leathers do conform and mold to the foot better, and ostrich is one of them. But like you get into like crocodiles and stingrays and some of those reptiles, they don't conform very well. So that's why ostrich, I mean, you don't hardly have to do anything to take care of them and they won't crack or they won't have any wear issues. So that's why they're so popular. But yeah,
I didn't know about stingray, but that makes sense.
yeah. Most fish stuff is, you get in reptiles and things like that. They don't have a lot of natural oils to them. So you got to really take care of them. Lizards, another one, cracking and things.
So, how can people find Anderson Bean boots?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you can find some in your local retail store. But we've got a website with a retailer locator on there where you can plug in your zip code. If you're going to be traveling and stuff, you can type in what city you're going to, and that's the best way to find them. But I mean, obviously you can do some searching, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, you can hashtag Anderson Bean and see the retailers. We've got a pretty active group on Instagram and Facebook too. But that's one of the silver linings from COVID was a lot of our retailers realized that there's some online business. There, some of those cowboys, and not even so much because their local stores weren't open, but a lot of the events that they were typically going to, flights and things were canceled, and so a lot of cowboys learned how to shop online through COVID,
Nice.
and our retailers were like, "Wow, we've got boots, might as well put them on there." And so, yeah, a lot of our retailers really grew their online presence through that, and so yeah, that's probably the easiest way is AndersonBean.com. We've got our family of brands website where you can look at all of our different brands. We also built a brand called Olathe Boots. We bought out of Olathe, Kansas, back in 2001, but they had roots back to 1875 up in Kansas City area. So yeah, three brands that are all domestic. You can also look at some of the price point brands that we built down in Mexico as well.
Nice. So I think my next trip will probably be down. I'd love to go down and see the factory and really get that on camera. Um, so I haven't talked to my editor about this at all, but I'm just listening to the Holy Spirit. Um, so
You let me know there might be a anonymous donor that will pay for your flight down here, so you can get the time off.
well, Ryan, is there anything else that I should ask that I didn't ask?
No, Kevin, I've enjoyed the visit, and I appreciate y'all focusing on the Western industry and some cowboy boots and all things. It really is a great industry, and it's been nice to see people say, oh, this must Taylor Swift and Beyonce and Yellowstone and these attentions things. Our hope is that people really yearn for what Granddad and Dad and the values and morals that were. It was hard work and dedication, and there's not many people in this industry that you're going to find that are multimillionaires or billionaires. They're just trying to eke out a living and do things the right way. And I think hopefully that's what we're seeing that our country's yearning is something that means something. And just all these kids that want to learn farm to table, where their food comes from, where their beer comes from, all these craft breweries and distilleries. I think that's kind of what's happening. People want to know where their clothing's coming from, where their boots are made, and that story behind it. And thankfully, we've got a really good one. And that was one of the things my father-in-law for years. He just kind of built the best boot out there. We built the best boot, come and buy it, and he didn't ever want to tell the story because he thought it was bragging. But the more you see people want to understand and want to dive in deeper, hopefully that's because they want to stand for something and they want to know what the companies they're representing stand for. And I think that's a good thing. So hopefully that's what we're seeing our country come back to. But we'll be here whether they all come back or not. We'll hopefully be a strong foundation for them.